Imagine visiting your girlfriend's parents for the first time, only to realize you weren't invited as a guest. You were invited as a body they plan to sell. And once you enter their house, escaping becomes almost impossible. Today we explain Get Out, released in 2017. A film that mixes horror, suspense, and a powerful social message. Watch till the end because the meaning of this movie is darker than it looks. The story begins on a quiet suburban street at night. A young black man walks alone, slightly lost, talking on his phone. The neighborhood is silent, almost too perfect. Then a car begins following him. It moves gently, patiently, like a predator that already knows its prey cannot escape. Suddenly, a masked attacker appears. Within seconds, the man is unconscious, dragged into the trunk, and disappears into the darkness. And this is our first warning. Now we meet Chris Washington, a talented photographer, observant, thoughtful, quiet. He's preparing for a weekend trip with his girlfriend Rose, where he will finally meet her parents. There's just one detail making him nervous. Rose never told them he's black. She brushes off his concern, assuring him her family is welcoming and progressive. Chris wants to believe her. As they drive through a forested road, suddenly a deer runs into the car. The impact is violent. Chris steps out and finds the animal struggling to breathe. Its eyes are wide, helpless, trapped between life and death. Hold for a moment. Chris can't stop staring. Then say quietly, he doesn't realize it yet, but this deer is a reflection of his own fate. A police officer soon arrives and immediately asks Chris for identification. Even though he wasn't driving, it's subtle, polite, but uncomfortable. A reminder that sometimes danger doesn't announce itself loudly. Rose's family mansion is massive, isolated, surrounded by trees that seem to cut it off from the rest of the world. Her father greets Chris with exaggerated enthusiasm. Too enthusiastic. The kind of friendliness that feels practiced rather than natural. Her mother watches quietly, analysing him with unsettling calm. Then Chris meets the house staff. Georgina, the housekeeper, smiles endlessly. Walter, the groundskeeper, moves stiffly and almost mechanically. Their behaviour isn't hostile and just strangely unnatural. Like actors who memorised how humans behave, but never understood why. Chris can't sleep, so he steps outside. And then Walter comes sprinting straight toward him at full speed. No warning, no expression, just pure motion. At the last second, Walter swerves and keeps running into the darkness. No explanation. Chris laughs it off, but his instincts are now screaming. Later, Rose's mother invites him for a harmless conversation to help him quit smoking. She gently stirs her teacup. Clink, clink, clink. The sound becomes hypnotic. Her voice softens, slows, deepens. Chris tries to respond, but his body suddenly feels heavy. Then he falls. Not physically, but mentally, dropping into endless darkness. Watching the world grow distant above him like a tiny television screen. He is awake, but powerless. Whisper, welcome to the Sunken Place. And from this moment forward, Chris is no longer fully in control. Chris wakes up thinking it was just a nightmare. But something is wrong. His urge to smoke is completely gone. The hypnosis worked. Meaning, last night was real. When he speaks to Georgina, she begins describing how happy she is. But tears start rolling down her face. Her smile never fades. It's as if two people are fighting inside one body. Now the fear becomes psychological. The party, where the truth hides. The next day, guests arrive. Wealthy, older, observant, and every single one studies Chris with disturbing curiosity. They comment on his physique, his genetics, even his skin. Not like meeting a person, but like inspecting merchandise. Then Chris meets another black guest, Logan. But something about him feels outdated, controlled. When Chris snaps a photo, the camera flash triggers something. Logan freezes. His nose bleeds. Then he grabs Chris and screams, "Get out!" Guests restrain him, calling it a seizure. But Chris finally understands something crucial. He is not being welcomed here. He is being evaluated. The invisible cliffhanger. Retention spike. What Chris doesn't know is that while he walks outside trying to calm his nerves, the guests are silently bidding on him in an auction for his body. Chris decides it's time to leave. He begs Rose for the car keys. She searches her bag. Slowly. Too slowly. Then she stops. Her face changes. All warmth disappears. And in that chilling moment, Chris realizes the most terrifying truth of all. She was never on his side. Missy taps the teacup again. Chris collapses. As he's carried away, Rose calmly admits, "You were one of my favorites." The horrifying revelation. Chris wakes up strapped to a chair. A video explains everything. The family transplants their consciousness into black bodies, seeking physical advantages while erasing the original mind. The victim isn't dead, just buried deep inside, forced to watch forever. The sunken place isn't metaphorical, it's prison. And the buyer of Chris, a blind man who wants his eyes, not just sight, but his artistic vision. To them, Chris is not human. He is an upgrade. But Chris notices something. Cotton stuffing leaking from the chair. He plugs his ears with it, blocking the hypnosis trigger. When Jeremy approaches, Chris strikes. Hard. Suddenly, the prey becomes the hunter. One by one, he fights through the house. Desperation fuels him. Survival transforms him. Meanwhile, Rose casually searches the internet for her next target, while eating cereal separately from the milk. Cold. Methodical. This has never been her first time. Chris finally gets into a car and drives. Freedom feels inches away. Then he hits Georgina. Remembering his dying mother on the roadside years ago, he refuses to abandon her. Compassion overrides fear. Big mistake. She attacks. Another consciousness fighting for control. The crash kills her. Even kindness nearly costs him his life. Walter hunts him down. Rose stands behind him with a rifle, but Chris remembers the flash. He uses it. Walter awakens briefly, his true self resurfacing. He turns the weapon on Rose, then on himself. A tragic moment of regained humanity. The last choice. Chris pins Rose to the ground. His hands tighten around her throat. After everything she did, he has every reason, every justification, but then he stops. Because surviving monsters does not mean becoming one. Sirens approach. Chris freezes, covered in blood, hovering over an injured white woman. He knows exactly how this looks. For a moment, it feels like the nightmare isn't over. Then the door opens. Not the police. Rod, his best friend. Relief floods in. Chris didn't just escape a house. He escaped becoming a prisoner inside his own body. One terrifying question lingers. How many others entered that house and never made it out? Because sometimes the scariest monsters are the ones who smile the most. If you enjoy horror with meaning, this movie is unforgettable. If you enjoyed this explanation, like the video. Subscribe for more movie breakdowns. Comment below and tell us which scene disturbed you the most. Until next time, stay aware.